Hello everyone, my name is Aileen. Welcome to our podcast, Operating with Positive Impact, where we inspire people by creating a sustainable business world. Today we invited Denis Van Roey from Vinventions.
Hello Aileen.
Vinventions is a global supplier of closure solutions for wine bottles. Welcome to our podcast. You worked for Vinventions for a couple of years,
yeah.
8 years exactly. And recently you stepped away from your role as CEO. Now you will be advising the board of directors. Would you like to shortly introduce yourself?
So I'm the CEO of Vinventions, which, as you said, I joined 8 years ago. So Vinventions is, I would say, a mid-cap founded by a Belgian entrepreneur. And so we are 25 years old. And it's great to speak about Vinventions and sustainability because the company was founded on a sustainability ID because some 25, 30 years ago, there was a big issue in the wine industry, which was what we call the taine cork, le goût de bouchon in French. And you had close to 20% of the wine bottles that were wasted because the taine cork, which meant that we wasted bottles, wine, carton boxes, labels, and so on and so on. And our founder, who was an expert in plastic extrusion, really invented at the time synthetic cork. So that was really a first sustainability story because the idea was to reduce waste. And step by step, we really had I would say, a sustainability journey, moving from fossil plastic to biopolymers, recycled plastic, and so on, to have today, despite the plastic product, the most sustainable product in the market.
So you say that even though it's a plastic product, it is like assuring that we will have less waste, like less.
Yeah, because that's something that's always that might look strange, that a plastic product is sustainable, and actually plastic is very sustainable. The issue is not the plastic. The issue is not the product. The issue is what we do with the product. I mean, if you use too much plastic when you don't need to use it. For example, we speak a lot about the plastic bags, for example. If you compare a plastic bag and a paper bag, and you do the life cycle analysis of a plastic bag compared to a paper bag, the plastic bag is better than a paper bag, because you can use it 100 times more than a paper bag. But of course, that's not what people do.
No,
so
exactly.
That's the usage of the bag which is a problem and which makes that the plastic bag is an issue.
Yeah, indeed. So I assume that at Vinventions, a lot of life cycle analyses have been placed for all the different solutions that you have?
Sure, we do. So we have 3 categories of product in the company. So we do what we call synthetic corks, made of recycled plastic or made of biopolymer. We have what we call micro-natural product, which is made of scrap of natural cork, so also recycling of material. And we also do aluminium screw caps, which also uses recycled aluminium.
So if we take a step back from Vinventions and look a bit at your journey at the company, can you maybe tell us what it took for you to become CEO after your more financial angle on the company?
Yeah, I had the chance to work in different companies. I work in the industry for 37 years. I was in the cement industry. I was in the insulation industry. I was in the automotive industry. And I basically joined this company because it was an industrial company. I always work in the industry, and that's where I really like to work. And I mean, 1 year after I joined the company, I immediately felt passionate about this company. And one of the reasons why was really the family spirit of the company, the entrepreneurship which we had in the company. It's a mid-cap company. We are 600 people worldwide with factories around the world. And I was just lucky that 1 year after I joined the company, I had the opportunity to succeed to my predecessor. And for me, that was just like a dream, because it was not only driving a company on financial performance, results, and so on, but it was such an important story, especially in terms of sustainability, what we were building in the company, not only with the products, the way we produce our products, but also the way we empower our people, the way we create initiatives to improve the well-being, the health of the people, and so on. Mm-hmm. So it's really a people-centric company. And as my first experience of CEO, that was really the best opportunity I could have found.
Nice. Indeed, like you mentioned, the people at the heart of the company. How would you describe it to the outside world that it actually look like? So do you have an example of that or situation?
But what I think as a CEO, our duty is of course to create value, and of course we have to create value for our investors and shareholders, because this is thanks to the shareholders and the investors that the company exists. But the role of the CEO is really to create not only value to the shareholders, but to create value and loyalty. I would say loyalty is very important, and loyalty to our planet, because this is also because we have this planet that the company exists. But we need loyalty, and we need to create value for the planet, for our people, and also for the society. So we have, for me, a triple duty and engagement as a CEO. And that's something, I started to work 37 years ago. You should, that did not exist 37 years ago. And that's something that really changed. And there is more and more pressure from young people like you are, on really putting people and the society, really on the table. Yeah. Not only the financial performance, but also the social performance and the human performance.
Okay. So Vinventions is placing a lot of emphasis on sustainability. Mm-hmm. Like you said, actually the business model is a bit around it, because your product is a sustainable solution. As a former CFO, how do you balance those sustainability initiatives with the financial stuff? Because you say it's very important to look at society, to look at your employees, at the planet, but in the end, I assume the numbers still remain very relevant and most relevant. Or is it not like that? Like, how do you outbalance it?
Yeah, it's as I told you, sustainability is not something new for us, and that's really something that is across the company. So, and we don't have a chief sustainability officer in the company, for example. If you look to what is behind sustainability in the company, it's first, of course, behind the products. We need to produce, distribute, develop sustainable products. And I told you, even with plastic products, we are the most sustainable products on the market. Mm-hmm. We have zero carbon footprint products. First, to develop and design the products. Two, to sustainability around producing these products. So using sustainable and renewable energy, avoiding wastewater, for example, reducing scrap and waste everywhere we can. Well, that's the second topic. 3 is people. Mm-hmm. And of course, design of products is part of our development team. Production is part of our manufacturing team. Our people. So we have a lot of programs. For me, for people, what is really important is that when people leave the company, whether it's on Friday or after 3 or 4 or 5 years in the company, they are better than they were when they joined the company. Not only because they were trained, because they are performing better, but also because their well-being is better, because their health is better. And as a company, we can help them, and we have some programs in the company, for example, to prevent cancer, for example. That's also the role of the company, to contribute to the fact that our people are better when they leave than when they join the company. And that's part of the human resources department. We have a very good team who put a lot of emphasis in this sustainability topic of the people. Then you have the reporting. And you know that we have more and more requirements in terms of reporting, which is not easy, because especially for company our size. So as I told you, we are a mid-sized company, 600 people in the world, around 350 people in Europe. And whether you are a 6 or 800 million or you are a 200 million company like we are, the requirements are the same, but the resources are not the same. Yeah. So, and that's more in the hands of the CFO, who's responsible of developing the non-financial reporting, CSRD, and blah, blah, blah. And that's a good thing. There are more and more requirements from our lenders, banks, for example. Our financing conditions are linked to the achievement of some sustainability indicators. And that's the role of our CFO. So you see, it's really across the board. I have nobody in my leadership team who's not involved in sustainability. And for example, we have, we call it Global Leadership Team, which is the executive committee. So we meet once a month. And each leadership team, we have what we call a sustainability corner. Okay. So that means we dedicate minimum 40-45 minutes to sustainability in each meeting of 4 hours. And that can be product development. That can be, for example, we have a leadership program for people. We have some initiatives to prevent fight against cancer. But that's something also we discuss. We have different initiatives. For example, the breast cancer, we have a big initiative in Belgium. And when we have such initiatives, we agree within the worldwide team on what are the priorities and so on and so on.
Okay, it's interesting to hear about the sustainability corner idea, but good to hear. As we are speaking about regulations, CSR, like mainly CSRD, I assume, and maybe other EU regulations, how do you look in general at those? Do you first try just to comply, or are there also other initiatives going on to maybe be first mover?
One thing that helps us is that we are in the plastic industry. So plastic industry is in the eye of the radar, sustainability, for good or bad reasons. So that means we have to. And each of us in our responsibility in the leadership team, whether it's my team or the teams below our leadership team, we all follow the regulation, because for us regulation goes beyond non-financial reporting. It starts with single plastic regulation, the EU single plastic use regulation. We have to also follow up plastic taxes, which exist in different countries in Europe. There is, and that's very important, and that's something we are very happy to see. There is the new anti-green bashing regulation in some countries in Europe, which is very important, because there is a lot of wrong communication that is made on sustainability right now. So it's a very large topic, and it's followed up by everyone in the organization, human resources as well. There are also some new requirements in terms of, for example, whistleblowing regulation, which we have to apply in our operations in Belgium, for example. So that's really the duty of everyone in his area of responsibility to follow up what's going on with the regulation. But there are more and more.
Okay, so I see that you are, as a company, closely following up and complying to those regulations. But do you also take maybe some proactive steps to, I don't know, within the industry to come together and do partnerships, or are there some things living?
No, we are part of some industrial associations in different countries, and where we have the possibility to and I have some members of my team participating to think tanks or working groups with some competitors, because we are facing exactly the same issues. And I think it's also a sustainable approach to work together with competitors, respecting all the antitrust rules and so on, but working together in achieving some goals and some improvements. And it's mainly through different associations. One example is Essentia in Belgium, for example, for chemistry and plastics. We have one association for aluminium producers where there is a special subgroup working on sustainability topics, where it's the use of for example, recycled aluminium and so on and so on. Okay,
so I see that they're already taking some steps to collaborate more across companies in the same industries. But what are some challenges that you feel there? Like, is there some lessons learned that you...
just to come back on what we said, we are working together on some topics, but there is also a lot of competition. And I mean, there is also competition on sustainability, and there is good competition and bad competition. So there is emulating competition, means that, I mean, we want to be better than the others, and the others want to be better than I am in terms of, for example, sustainability of the product, carbon footprint, and so on and so on. There is also bad competition, greenwashing, and being the only company in our industry doing plastic products. I mean, it's not a walk in the park, because it's very easy, of course, to greenwash again plastic products, even if we and based on the LCA, we have the more sustainable product. It's still difficult to defend your product against some other products. So you asked me the questions about the challenges. There are several challenges. The first one is to be aligned sometimes with the shareholders. Because as a CEO, you cannot ignore sustainability and the three aspects of sustainability. Some of the aspects are probably less a focus for the shareholders. So you have to find the right balance to make sure that these sustainability priorities are well driven. The second one is we discussed about reporting. This is a lot of work and a lot of money, especially for mid and small caps. There is a lot to comply with the regulations. It's a lot of work. You cannot, I mean, and we are in a competitive situation. We are in a market which the global market, the global economy is not that great right now. So that means it requires a lot of investment. You do not have the resources that a company of 2 billion, for example, can afford the resources to drive the non-financial reporting, which I cannot do. I cannot dedicate someone to do the non-financial reporting. So that's on top of the job a controller or another person does in the company. So non-financial reporting is a good thing. I'm not saying that, but it's a big investment. And the last challenge for me is really to educate our customers and our stakeholders about the importance of sustainability, whether it's related to our products, whether it's related to our people. It's sometimes difficult also to to define the return of the investments in sustainability, but the education of our customers so that they have the right information and they make their decision on the right sustainability information, because it's very easy to divulgate wrong information on sustainability.
So greenwashing there is probably a big stone that you don't want to take.
Yes, but I think things are progressing because I think people are more and more educated. You see more and more that the behavior of the consumer is more and more intelligent. What is really important, and I think the legislation, the new regulations are going into the right direction so that we make sure that people can make the decision on data and on facts, and because it's still very emotional.
That's indeed what the non-financial regulation is trying to show, so that people can.
But it has to go beyond, because it has also to go down to the products. I mean, again, if you ask someone to compare, I mentioned the plastic bag, but you take a bottle, for example. I mean, if you compare and you do the life cycle analysis of a plastic bottle and a glass bottle, and you show the result to someone in the street, he will be very surprised by the result, because if you ask 100% in the street, what's the most sustainable bottle, a plastic one or a glass bottle? I'm sure you know the answer.
It's true that the units are very important to take into account. So the units.
Yeah, and it's complex. Sustainability is very complex, and sometimes the messages are very simple, and you cannot answer a complex question with a simple answer.
That's a challenge for the future. No, it's true. For sustainability, it's very important to have the right KPIs and the right points like to show. And I assume that in Vinventions as well, they want to make it measurable so they can show it towards their shareholders. What it takes into money, into CO2 impact, and so on. Can you maybe elaborate a bit on how that is exactly shared, or I don't know, just high level? Are we only talking about numbers with shareholders, or also about CO2 emissions?
Actually, this is. I mean, if I look my experience, I think things are changing more and more.
Okay.
Of course, I mean, financial KPIs are still very important. I mean, achievement of the targets, of the plans, of the budget, and so on and so on. But there is more and more emphasis on non-financial KPIs. I give an example. We always start our board of directors about HR KPIs, accidents, safety, absenteeism, because behind absenteeism,
there is more.
Exactly. But also, I mean, we discuss more and more about the KPIs around, for example, CO2 emission, percentage of renewable energy, follow-up of the different initiatives we have to improve. We don't have to be candid. There are also some reasons, because, for example, in our financing agreement, there are some sustainability covenants. So which means that we have some KPIs, some targets which we have to approve, which is a good thing, because our banks force us also to be more performing in this area, and that has an impact on our financing cost. So yes, more and more in the board, when we review the performance, we enlarge to sustainability topics. It's still small when compared to the financial KPIs, but I mean, it will be more and more because the ESG topics are now an integral part of the valuation of the company. And I have financial investors, so they are not in the company forever, and they know that that when they will decide to sell the company, the ESG KPIs and the position of the company in terms of ESG will have an impact on the value of the company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so probably that will also be something that will be very important for the near future to work on, to develop further that ESG KPIs to be able to follow up on them very well. But are there other challenges regarding to sustainability that you see coming up for the coming years?
I don't see that as. I don't see that as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I really see that as an opportunity, and I see that as something that is really exciting. And I will tell you one thing. I have children. My younger daughter is 22, and she's not interested by the financial performance of my company, but she's very interested by what we do in terms of sustainability. When we talk, at dinner, for example, on initiatives we do, for example, to prevent cancer, that's something that resonates to her. When I come home at night and say, well, look to this new product. This is that has a negative carbon footprint. I say, oh, how do you do that? It's plastic, and then so that's much more exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we would never have discussed 20 years ago at the dinner at night. So for me, it's really exciting.
Mm-hmm, true. It's good that the stress is a bit placed on better things for the planet.
Exactly. Yeah.
But any other challenges or thing that you see or innovation that will come up soon for the near future?
No, I think what is also important is stability also, at least in regulation and legislation. Because we saw a lot of fast changes in the legislation the last, I would say, 5, 6, 7 years, and it takes time to the industry to adjust and to adapt,
mm-hmm.
and it's a lot of money, and especially for small or mid caps, we invest a lot. All our big projects are around sustainability, because when we develop a new product, for us it has to be more sustainable than the previous one. So it's a lot of money, it takes time. When we develop a new product, it takes 5 or 6 years before the product starts to have a positive profitability. So it's also important that there is an emergency. There is an urgency to save the planet. But to do the right decision, to develop the right product, it takes time, and we need some stability.
Mm-hmm. And in that journey, there is still some work to convince the customer that it's always a better choice.
That's a very good question. Because you see big differences on the market. So customers have different behaviors, but you also see the behaviors changing with time. I will say, yeah, they put more and more emphasis on sustainability. Well, not really. Because when times are difficult, for example, what we live since 2022, with some material shortage, with the inflation, with the increase in cost, more competition, we are in an industry which suffers right now, and you see that since 22, the emphasis is much more on cost than on sustainability. So people are okay with sustainability, but they do not want to pay the price for sustainability. And of course, sustainable products is most of the time is more complex to develop and produce than a bad product.
Yeah, voilà.
And it's a challenge we have right now, because we have put all our energy and investments in developing. So, for example, most of our products are made of recycled plastic. Or we use ocean-bound plastic, for example, or we use biopolymer made of sugarcane. From a sustainability standpoint, this is the best products, because we have the best carbon footprint, but this is the most expensive. And 3 years ago, our customers were much more open to spend more money, because they were able to reflect on their prices, they were able to communicate. But today the challenge is really to be cost efficient and to be competitive in price. So we see a lot of customers, big customers, coming back and asking more for cheap product than sustainable products. So that's a challenge.
Okay, so hopefully, because of all the change that we need and all the reporting change on sustainability, it will have a positive impact to have a more
Oh yes,
a sustainable
cannot
supplier.
Cannot agree more.
So, okay, very interesting. Thank you already for all the interesting insights. I would like to wrap up a bit with a short reflection from your side. If you come back to your own experience after a lot of years of experience, what do you think has been your biggest learning in this journey, or what would you tell your younger self or your daughter to that is starting now?
Well, probably for me is the pride to be able to create value beyond financial numbers, but really the pride to see not myself, but that all the people who work with me, the company, is really able to make an impact. And as I told you before, our company invented a new product which significantly reduced the waste in the wine industry. And it forced all our competitors also to do better products, because in the past they didn't care, because everybody was used to have this waste problem. But to work with my team and really see that we are able to have a significant impact. It's a small business, wine. It's small when compared to water or beer or whatever, but or even other businesses. But when you see the impacts that you can do on such a small business, which is the wine industry, you can imagine what other companies can do in much bigger industries.
Yeah, true. That's sure.
And that's a pride for and it's not my pride. It's really the pride of our entire team in the company.
Okay, beautiful. So next to the family feeling that is active in your company,
and I have better discussions with my daughter.
We are there other okay, I will point it differently. So if you could send one message in every boardroom, what would it be? If you could send one inspiring message and spread it all over the boardrooms,
I think
to have an impact.
For me, when you sit in a board, when you are a CEO, you are a board member, you are a chairman, we have a unique chance to change things, and we should not miss it.
So take it and...
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So...
No, and it has to be an engagement, because we have a duty. I mean, it's a bit we say in French bateau, but we have a duty for the existing generation, our children, but for the next generations, and we have a new unique opportunity.
Okay, let's hope that everyone that is listening to this podcast takes this initiative and does something.
Will be my little stone.
even if you're not in a boardroom, I think you can try to move some things around. But I would like to thank you, Denis, for coming to our podcast. It was great. And having an interesting conversation about the wine industry. I think it's a very specific industry, but I hope that everyone who is listening learned a lot. And if there are some questions or comments, we would like to hear them and pick them up later. So we will be back soon with another episode of Operating with Positive Impact.
Thank you, Aline.